The 2017 Ford Edge. Now, this is a mid-sized crossover that at first I wasn't really so sure if I was going to like, but after spending some time with this one, the Sport all-wheel drive trim, I am very, very impressed. Welcome to this latest episode of Car Buzz Unboxing Reviews. I'm Jay, and before I get started, I want to thank Future Ford of Sacramento for letting Car Buzz come on down and film this car for you today. So the Ford Edge, this is one of the most popular mid-size crossovers on the market today. The first generation launched back in 2007, and it was on sale through 2015, and it had a refresh for 2010. Again, that is the first generation, but what you're looking at here is the second generation Edge, and in my opinion, this is so much better than the first generation. I mean, I like the first generation's exterior. I like the refreshed versions even more, but there's still some refinement missing from that first generation Edge, and Ford understood that, acknowledged the issue, and it nailed it with this one. I mean, just looking at this interior, I'll get to more details about it in a few minutes. You can just tell that this is borderline luxury, and there is a more luxurious version of the Edge. It's called the Lincoln MKX, but again, after being with this Ford Edge Sport here, I really wonder what the justification is to spend thousands of dollars more on that Lincoln. Now, the Edge Sport all-wheel drive, this is the top trim that you can get. There are other trims. You have the base SE, the SEL, the titanium, and then at the very top, again, the Sport, which comes standard with all-wheel drive. And when I get to pricing later on, you're just going to be really surprised to see what you get for the money. And it's actually a pretty good value. More preferably, a luxury value. Just look at this interior. You have this ebony leather trim with perforated suede, 10-way power driver's seat, leather-wrapped steering wheel, 8-inch touchscreen with Ford's latest infotainment system, Sync 3, a 12-speaker Sony audio system, HD radio, dual-zone climate automatic control. I mean, the list just goes on. And I've seen some of the newest Lincolns too, and I like their interior designs, but it just seems like those Lincolns, such as this car's luxury twin, the MKX, are almost trying too hard, where as opposed to this Ford Edge, it's just saying, listen, I'm going to be offering you a premium vehicle for a good price. And that's exactly what this is. But another area with the Ford Edge is that I came into this a little confused as to where exactly the Edge is in the Ford crossover lineup. Because of course you have the entry-level compact crossover, the Ford Escape. You also have the Ford Explorer. I did an unboxing review of that recently as well. And then at the very top, if you need something big, you have the 3-row kind of retro-looking Ford Flex. Now the Ford Explorer also has 3 rows as opposed to this. It only has 2 rows, just like the Escape. But I was kind of wondering why the Edge even needs to exist if there's the Explorer there and the Escape. But again, I am now convinced that the Ford Edge might just be the best crossover Ford makes. I like the Escape, but again, this Ford Edge, the Sport specifically, this is near luxury for a good price. And of course, you have this really nice leather-wrapped steering wheel. The Sport trim also offers this piano black trim inside. And I remember the first generation Edge, even the refresh version, that its interior was nice, but I didn't think it was as competitive enough with, say, the Nissan Murano, which I really like that crossover. And I think Ford really listened to its customers and saying, listen, we really like the Edge, but it needs more refinement. And this is the result. And I also really like this. Again, like I mentioned, the 8-inch touchscreen here. It is Sync 3. It replaces MyFord Touch. I've mentioned this in previous reviews. MyFord Touch was just not a very good infotainment system. And Sync 3 is just, it wiped the slate clean for Ford, and it's really, really good. You can control the navigation with it and various other things. It's also voice activated too, so it's very convenient for the driver. And the response time was excellent. MyFord Touch, it rebooted, it was kind of confused, and it was just, not where it should be, and Sync 3 totally fixes all of that. And the 12-speaker Sony audio system, which is standard in the Sport, is excellent. Again, Ford is packing so much into its top trim edge here, it's making me wonder, is this a real luxury midsize crossover without the luxury nameplate? Again, Ford, it's supposed to be the everyman's car, same with Chevrolet. That's why Chevrolet, or GM rather, has Cadillac, and Ford, of course, has Lincoln. And Lincoln is still, in my opinion, looking for an identity, and I think this Ford Edge, it is internal competition for Ford Motor Company when in regards to the Lincoln MKX. This is cool. You saw that camera there for a second. That's a 180-degree camera system. It's only available on the two top trims of the Edge, of the Titanium and the Sport. And there's a camera in the front grille. It's kind of hard to see, but it's there. And at slow speeds, the vehicle will be able to see around corners, down alleys, and even while you're pulling out of parking spots. And it's one of those extra things that you're really, really happy to have. And of course, you have a couple of cup holders there. Now, in the Lincoln, the MKX specifically, instead of having the gear shift in the center console, it has like a rotary dial for the transmission or just regular buttons for it. Now, what that does is it creates extra space in the center console here, but I don't mind having the gear lever where it's at. Would I prefer to have the buttons that are in the Lincolns? Perhaps, but I don't think the price increase for the Lincoln models justifies this. Now, something else you need to know about the Ford Edge, it is built on the same platform as the Ford Fusion sedan, believe it or not. So you got to think of the Ford Edge as a hatchback version of the Ford Fusion. A hatchback meaning it's raised a few inches, it has a bigger roof. The Panoramic Vista sunroof. Costs about an extra $1,600. Get it? I really, really like this. I'm a big fan of panoramic sunroofs, and we're starting to see them more and more in non-luxury cars such as a Kia Soul. But the previous Ford Edge, going back to platforms for a moment, it was actually built on a Mazda platform. That was because Ford owned part of Mazda for several years and it sold its stake in it. But for the second generation Edge, Ford totally developed the platform on its own. Again, it's shared with the Ford Fusion. Why do they do all this platform sharing? Very simple. It saves a lot of money in development costs. And the overall driver seating position is it's excellent. I mean, you're able to just get this great view from the driver's seat and you just feel like you're in command. And I think that's why a lot of people are going for the Ford Edge over the Fusion, because same platform, you just sit up higher and it gives you a better commanding view of the road. And the overall controls here for the driver in this gauge cluster, I thought they were very intuitive and it was not at all difficult to figure out. Now let's talk safety here. The Ford Edge has received a 5-star crash test rating from the US government, and some standard safety equipment includes the usual driver and passenger front airbags, driver's knee airbag, even a glove box knee airbag as well. But some of the extra optional features on this one is part of a $3,150 package. You get a blind spot monitoring system, lane keeping assist, and a 180-degree camera. So for a little bit more money, you're getting more of these premium features that are kind of standard on luxury cars, but I don't think that $3,000 is a huge premium to pay for what it is you're getting. And as I mentioned, the Edge Sport, it is all-wheel drive only, but that's a good thing because you're getting Ford's intelligent all-wheel drive system, and it uses sensors to constantly monitor traction, and it balances torque between the front and rear wheels to enhance handling and maximize that traction. So typically, before a wheel can even slip or occur, the system corrects it. And the other thing I like about the Edge is that it's not trying to squeeze in a third row seat. It is strictly a 2-row crossover. If you want a third row, you're going to have to pay more and go for the Explorer or the Flex. But I don't think everybody needs that third row, and when you don't have it, you're just getting a very nicely sized second row, which you see here. You have the 60-folding, split-folding rear seats. And because this is the Sport, it also has heated seats in the second row. Very nice there. This electronic lift gate. I'm seeing these more and more in so many crossovers today. It's optional at the moment, but in my opinion, it's going to become standard very, very soon. But cargo space here, you have 39.2 cubic feet of cargo behind the second row. And of course, when you fold down the second row 60 by 40 split folding again, you're just going to increase that cargo space really well. However, if you're really looking for maximum cargo in the midsize two-row crossover category, the Nissan Murano has a little bit more cargo space than this. But again, I don't know if that's something that really is a make or break deal for people. The Murano has a kind of distinctive exterior styling, so to each their own when it comes time to buy. So let's talk about the competition here. You also have the Jeep Grand Cherokee, the Kia Sorento, the Hyundai Santa Fe Sport, like I mentioned, the Nissan Murano, the Volkswagen Touareg, and the Dodge Journey. Now, all those start in the low $30,000 and they go up to about the mid-40s, with the exception of the Volkswagen Touareg, which only starts at about $44,000 and can go all the way up to $64,000. So I think that's a lot of money. Okay. Under the hood, this is only available in the Edge Sport. It is a 2.7-liter EcoBoost twin-turbo V6, total of 315 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque. It's paired to a 6-speed automatic. Again, power goes to all four wheels. And let me tell you, this engine is spectacular. When you hit the gas, you're cruising 0 to 60 in 5.6 seconds. Top speed is electronically limited to 132 miles per hour. And fuel economy is 17 miles per gallon in the city, 24 on the highway, and a combined 20, which that's actually pretty good for a vehicle that weighs a little over 4,400 pounds. And if you look carefully just underneath the Ford emblem in the front grille, you'll see that 180-degree camera. And I like these LED taillights here, the LED signature lights. Yep, under the Ford emblem there's that camera. And this particular Edge Sport, it's painted silver metallic. It's got 20-inch polished aluminum wheels. I really like that piano black grille. Again, that is a part of the Sport package. And at the rear, I really also dug those dual integrated exhaust tips. And the privacy glass, again, this is standard. And it's just a really nice looking vehicle. I can understand how some people don't like the Nissan Murano because it's just maybe a little too radical looking. But the Edge Sport, it's just elegant and it's also appropriately sporty. Now, the other engine options you can get is the standard engine is a 2-liter twin-turbo EcoBoost with 245 horsepower and 275 pound-feet of torque. The mid-range engine is a naturally aspirated 3.5-liter V6 with 280 horsepower and 250 pound-feet of torque. Again, this 2.7-liter twin-turbo EcoBoost V6 is for the Sport only, but it is just a wonderful, wonderful engine. And if you can stretch your budget high enough, I would say go for the Sport just because you get that great twin-turbo V6. Well, so let's talk pricing here. Now, the base Edge SE, it starts at $28,700, again, with that 2.0-liter EcoBoost. The SEL starts at $31,790, and the Titanium begins at $35,600. But the Edge Sport with the standard all-wheel drive begins at $40,900, and this particular Edge Sport came equipped with $4,745 worth of options. So the grand total came to $46,040. And that's, I think, a very good value. Again, it's pushing the limits as to what is a luxury vehicle. For 46 grand, you're getting a fantastic engine that you have to pay typically a few $1,000s more to even get into a Lincoln MKX. I just don't see the justification. And the Edge Sport is also sort of pushing the line when it comes to other luxury midsize crossovers like the Lexus RX 350 and the Infiniti QX50, as well as the Cadillac SRX. So bravo to Ford for making me want to question spending the extra money for a luxury midsize crossover here, and at the same time justifying the Edge's existence. And it's overall just, I like this vehicle. It is a great family car, and again, if you like the Ford Fusion but you want to sit up higher, no problem. You have the Ford Edge. It is literally a hatchback version of the Ford Fusion, except it's a few inches higher off the ground. Now, what don't I like? Well, it is a little heavy, again, about 4,500 pounds, and, you know, some people might be a little questionable. Should I get the Escape? Should I get the Explorer? There could be some confusion there. My advice, go for the Edge. So I'm out of time for today, everyone. Thanks for watching. Any questions, leave them for me in the comment section below, and I'll see you on the next Car Buzz Unboxing Reviews.